Two Bay Area tech companies are pulling out of a conference due to the coronavirus. CNET senior editor Reilly joins us now with more on that. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Okay, so let's talk about this because we've talked about this virus for over, the past few weeks, and the fallout just seems to continue.
I think it does. I think companies are starting to realize that this isn't a problem in just one part of the world, and they're realizing that they need to do something to make sure that their staff are safe and that they're not making the problem worse. So you mentioned two companies. We've seen both Twitter and Facebook pull out of the South by Southwest conference in Austin. Now, this is kind of an advertising, culture, rock music. It's where all the cool people go, I'm told. But what we've seen them do is say that it's just not worth risking their employees' safety.
Sure.
These are big companies. They can afford to take the hit. So whether other companies follow suit with this particular conference, we'll have to wait to see.
I think if it's where all the cool people are, we should be there.
But, I mean, sure.
There you go. But, you know, a lot of the conferences with these tech companies, they're telecommuting now. So is that going to be just as effective? Well,
it's interesting. Twitter has said to their employees, work from home if you can. A lot of companies are starting to sort of test out procedures, you know, remote teleconferencing, phone calls for meetings, getting the processes in place so that if this is maybe a little bit longer term, that they can kind of survive for the long haul. I've got family in Japan who are teachers, and they're all practicing what they're going to do with working from home for students. So this is something that's happening around the world. Whether it's still as effective and how long people will be able to put up with working from home over the long term, but I think we'll see a lot of more Bay Area companies start to do that.
Okay, we'll see. The other big story, of course, today is Super Tuesday, so a lot of people are going to be getting out there and voting. There is a warning, though, from U.S. intelligence agencies. What is that?
That's right. So the FBI, Department of Homeland Security, a number of these intelligence agencies have said to watch out for disinformation online. They've been talking about this since the 2016 election, but they're really saying to foreign actors and also people here, just, you know, if you're planning on spreading disinformation, there will be harsh consequences, and for American citizens to kind of watch what you're looking at and watch what you're sharing online. So we're not just talking about fake news here, you know, stories that are very obviously created to spread fear. We're talking about things like, you know, getting people to get confusion about when they have to vote, what the eligibility for voting is. So the Department of Homeland Security and these intelligence agencies have said, just make sure you're checking with a proper website. Make sure you know whether you need to bring ID, that you've got the right date, that you've got the right kind of conditions around voting. So it's not just about these fake news stories, it's about sort of sowing confusion and discord in the voting public.
And that's really been a big change from 2016.
That's right. So in 2016, we saw concerns around Russian bots, foreign actors, pretending to be Americans and pretending to, you know, infiltrate these networks so that they could say on Facebook, you know, you really should vote for this or that. Really what the concern is now is that foreign actors might just spread discord among voters so that we as a country here look kind of like we're fighting with ourselves. So, you know, sometimes these kinds of misinformation campaigns start in a kernel of truth. So it might look like a Trump supporter or a Bernie supporter or a Biden supporter who's saying these things, but it's actually very easy to start that discord if you know, share fake news or if you share these kind of controversial opinions.
And we've seen that a lot on social media, including YouTube, and YouTube just announced that it is pledging against disinformation.
That's right. So they've sort of had a number of policies in place for a while, but YouTube has really upped the ante and they've said this is going to be the big problem for the 2020 elections. So they're doing things like putting banners on videos. If it purports to be of a political allegiance, they might say, you can get the real information here. Incidentally, to loop it back to the coronavirus, we've seen that on coronavirus videos. We put up an explainer on CNET the other day and there was a little banner from the World Health Organization. So there's the idea that a lot of misinformation can spread on YouTube, but if you want to get the real facts, you can click here.
Always look for the real deal. All right. Reilly, thanks so much for coming on and talking to us.
Thanks for having me.
Okay. And every Tuesday, of course, you can catch CNET right here with a new topic about tech. And we've got a new segment coming up next week.